CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray discs, meh, who needs them? These days, if you want any game or movie, you just download it and enjoy it from the comfort of your own home. No problem at all. I mean, when's the last time you even bought a physical copy of a game, huh? May as well just shut down those stores and let everything go the way of the video rental place. Rest in peace, physical games. You had a great run for sure. Okay, my bad guys. I just wanted to start off by saying something provocative. It's no secret that the traditional gaming market has been in a state of decline over the past decade or so. And while many retailers do still stock physical copies of games in their stores, it seems like there's less and less incentive or reason to do so. But in spite of this, it's important that physical games stick around for a while longer, or even indefinitely. How come? Well, that's what today's video is all about. Without further ado, here's why physical games need to survive. There's little doubt that digital gaming has several advantages over the traditional approach. For one, it's super convenient, and if you have a decent internet connection, buying and downloading an entire game can take a matter of minutes or just a few short hours. As an added bonus, it's also possible to preload games so that once they release, you're all set and ready to go almost immediately. You don't have to drive down to your local store, purchase the game and drive back home, and if you're someone who likes playing a game as soon as it releases, buying a physical copy often entails standing in a seriously long queue and potentially waiting for hours just to snag yourself a disc. And if there isn't enough of your desired title in stock, well, too bad for you, I guess. Yet another reason why digital downloads are popular is because you don't have to find some place to store all of your discs. And if you're not a very organized person, then it may be quite the task trying to rummage through all your stuff just to find the game you want to play. Oh, and then there's the whole thing of games going missing or the disc getting scratched or damaged. And just going by the way some of my friends treat their CDs and DVDs, this is probably a big deal breaker for gamers. With digital downloads, everything is available in one location. And since you own a digital copy of the game, you can uninstall and even download it again if you want. And all of your achievements should still be there. Technically, you'll never have to wait for stock or line up in a queue or lament the destruction of your favorite title because your dog got overzealous and thought it was a chew toy. I'm sure many of you have a story like that, so feel free to let us know your traditional gaming woes and fond memories in the comments. So right now, you're probably thinking something along the lines of, wow, digital games do really make a whole lot of sense. I guess there isn't any need to own any physical copies. Yeah, well, not exactly. Of course, it's great to have all of your favorite games in one location and to be able to access them from any console or compatible device that you can log into. But the question here is, do you actually own your games? Okay, technically you do, but you're only really able to access them if you can log into your account. So what happens in cases where you get locked out or something ends up going wrong? This is where the whole digital downloads argument starts to look a lot less appealing. The analogy that springs to mind is, don't put all your eggs in one basket. In other words, buying only digital or having all of your games on just one account could prove disastrous if you ever happen to lose access to or be locked out of your one and only library. This may seem highly unlikely to you, but there are numerous stories of gamers being locked out of their accounts or even having them deleted along with all the games they own. Now, while there may be cases where this is justified because someone has acted inappropriately or gone against the terms and conditions of a given service, in other cases there's no real explanation for why an account is terminated, and sometimes it's just a whole lot of really bad luck. I can't say what percentage of gamers lose access to their accounts, but it's something that does happen, and it is something to be aware of. The real issue with digital downloads is that, while they are convenient, you only really purchase the rights to access and play a game for a given period and under very particular conditions. Does this mean you should completely abandon digital downloads and demand that physical games make a sudden dramatic comeback? No. But it also doesn't mean that you shouldn't consider the very real downsides of going all digital. And let's be honest, there's something satisfying about buying a physical game, reading the description on the back of the box and checking out all the cover art. It's like owning a physical copy of a book versus having it on an e-reader, for instance. In principle, they're the exact same content, but in terms of an end product, they're very different. And I'm gonna level with you. If I really like a game, album, or book, I will spend that money and buy the deluxe edition with all the bells and whistles and added content. I'm sure many of you would consider this frivolous or even unnecessary, and while that may be true for you, it's not for me. I listen to plenty of bands and albums on YouTube and Spotify, but I still have a massive collection of CDs that I've collected over the years and have absolutely no intention of parting with anytime soon. And the same goes for some of my games. I still have them along with their old manuals and packaging, and while I may not play them again anytime soon, I still like to reminisce and go through the instruction manuals and look at the cover art from time to time. So yeah, there's something to say about the whole nostalgia thing for sure, and there is a singular kind of joy you get from opening a brand new game, popping out the disc, and loading it into your console for the first time. For most of my youth, that was my experience of video games, and I don't recall a time where it didn't get me hyped to play. And then there's the other aspect of physical games that just makes them better than digital downloads. Yep, I'm talking about the ability to share games with friends or to swap them out for other games. Not only is this a great way to save some money, but it's also a way to socialize with others and build up a culture around gaming. I remember borrowing games from friends and having them get excited telling me about what to expect and what parts of the story were their favorite or whatever. There really is something sacred about lending people video games, and if they return your discs back in good condition, then you know they're trustworthy and worth having around. But it goes even further than this. There's a whole secondary marketplace when it comes to physical games, and entire businesses, both large and small, do pretty well for themselves when it comes to buying and selling pre-owned games from and to their customers. While the second-hand market has been waning with the overall decline in traditional gaming, it's a great service because gamers can sell games they don't enjoy or are done with and use the money they make from the sale to buy different and even newer titles. For many people, this is the totality of their experience with gaming, and they love every minute of it. Naturally, you can't exactly trade in or sell off your digital downloads, which is kind of a bummer, but you could argue that this is offset when games go on sale and you only have to pay a fraction of the full retail price while the sale price is valid. I mean, when it comes to Steam, some people wait patiently for a sale and then go totally ham, buying as many discounted games as they possibly can, often on impulse. And if you extend the gaming experience to subscription services like Game Pass, then serial gamers can enjoy some huge benefits and play a range of titles without having to fork out a premium for the pleasure. These kinds of services are undoubtedly contributing towards the decline of traditional gaming as well as the second-hand market. So in the next few years, we could very well see physical games being completely phased out. That said, I do indeed still think there's a place for physical copies of games, and here's the main reason why. While there are more and more people using the internet every single day, many places just don't have access to high-speed internet connections, and many millions of people don't have an internet connection at all. According to data appearing on Statista, India has over 705 million people who have no internet access, while China has close to 360 million people who can't connect to the web. That's well over 1 billion people who cannot access the internet and thus cannot enjoy the benefits of digital downloads and streaming services. Of course, you could argue that many of these people simply have no access to any kind of infrastructure whatsoever, and that's fair. But regardless, for those who are able to gain access to computers and consoles, even if they're older models, physical copies of games are really the only way to go. And beyond this, physical games do allow people to actually own their games and have a tangible collection if they so desire, and they should be allowed to do that. The world may be headed towards being completely digital, but it's going to take a long time, and even if high-speed internet access becomes available globally, people should still be allowed to have the option of buying physical copies of games if they so desire. I mean, just because we have e-readers doesn't mean that books, comics, and graphic novels should go extinct. No ways. And what about people who love vinyls or CDs? Maybe they're losing their wider commercial appeal, and maybe things will become increasingly digital, but for people who like to have and hold things, be they discs or books or otherwise, they should totally be able to. To my mind, there's no question that physical games do indeed need to survive. Maybe the way physical games are made and distributed will change, but I don't think they will or should go away. I have physical copies of games that I have never opened and played just because I love the game. I wouldn't call myself a collector, but there are just some things I like to hold on to, you know? And speaking of collectors, well, you can't just kill their hobby, people. I say let these noble individuals be free to enjoy their purchases and continue the time-honored practice of collecting physical copies of games for many years to come. Hear, hear. So that's where the buck stops for now, guys. What do you think of this analysis? Do you agree that physical games need to survive, or should we accept our digital destiny? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily gaming, VR, and tech content. From me and the crew here at Metasquad, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!